Most people walk through life in a kind of nervous system fog. They think their personality is who they are. In reality, what runs their life is something quieter and more primitive. A body that cannot stop reacting. A tone of voice, a look, a delay in a text reply, a bill, a raised eyebrow, a social threat. Their heart rate jumps, breathing changes, attention narrows, emotions spike, and suddenly they are no longer thinking. They are defending, explaining, pleasing, apologizing, attacking, or shutting down. Later, they tell themselves a story about what happened. But during the moment that mattered, they were not in control. Their nervous system was. Here is the part nobody says clearly. That same system can be trained to do the opposite. The same body that panics can become cold. The same mind that floods with noise can go silent. The same attention that crawls over every possible insult can zoom out and start spotting patterns and weaknesses. This is not about becoming spiritual, positive, or enlightened. It is about learning to flip an internal switch between two modes, human prey and human predator. Prey mode is the default in society. Predator mode is rare, because it has to be trained, and because it is dangerous in the wrong hands. Chapter 1. The Predator Switch. How your nervous system makes you weak or inhuman. To understand this switch, you need to know the rough layout of your own wiring. The autonomic nervous system is the part that runs in the background. It controls heart rate, digestion, breathing, blood flow. It has two main branches, sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic activation is what people call fight or flight. Heart rate goes up, pupils can widen, blood leaves the stomach and moves to muscles. Parasympathetic is rest and digest. Heart rate slows, the body repairs, digestion works, you feel safe and sleepy. In theory, life should be a balanced rhythm between these two states. In reality, for most people, it is not. Stephen Porges brought something sharper to this with his polyvagal theory. He showed that the parasympathetic system is not just a simple brake. There are different settings, tied to the vagus nerve, that match three basic modes of existence: threat mode, connection mode, shutdown mode. In threat mode, your body is ready for danger. In connection mode, your system is calm enough to read faces, use your voice smoothly, and feel safe with others. In shutdown mode, when threat feels overwhelming or escape seems impossible, the system can pull you inward, numb, detached, frozen. The brutal part is this: most people live stuck between anxious activation and low-grade shutdown, not fully alive, not fully calm, just constantly half-triggered and half-exhausted. Think about your usual day. A message with a strange tone from a boss or partner, a sudden bill, social tension in a room. That mild jolt you feel is your sympathetic system jumping. Your mind starts spinning. You replay what they said. You search for hidden meanings. You spiral between anger, worry, and people-pleasing, or you go the other way. Scroll endlessly, overeat, lie on the bed staring at your phone, numb but not rested. That is the shutdown side. You are not lazy. Your system is trying to protect you. But in protecting you, it keeps you weak and slow. The forbidden angle is this: the same wiring that makes you panic or freeze can be tuned into what looks like an inhuman state. High arousal, high control. Your heart rate is up enough to be fast, but not so high that you lose your mind. Your awareness is wide but not scattered. You feel emotion, but it never spills into your behavior unless you choose it. Elite fighters, hunters, and certain special forces describe this state. Time seems to slow, sounds sharpen. There is no inner arguing, no self-pity, no social anxiety, only information and choice. They are not magical. Their nervous system has been trained to run a different default under pressure. This is where vagal tone enters the picture. Vagal tone refers to how strong and flexible the vagus nerve response is. People with high vagal tone can shift smoothly from rest to alertness and back again. Under stress, their heart rate might rise, but it also comes back down quickly. They do not stay stuck in a panic. Studies show that higher vagal tone is linked with better emotional control, faster recovery from stress, and clearer decision-making when things go wrong. This is not fixed at birth. It is trainable. Breathing patterns, posture, exposure to manageable stress, and how you pay attention to your own body can all shape it over time. Heart rate variability is another window into this system. It measures the tiny time differences between each heartbeat. Higher variability, in simple terms, means your body can adapt. It can speed up and slow down smoothly as the situation changes. People with higher variability tend to show more resilience under pressure. They cope better with conflict. They can think more clearly when others are losing control, and they do not stay trapped in stress states as long. This is why elite training programs, from athletes to pilots to soldiers, care about breathing, physical posture, and state control. They are not just tough in their minds, their bodies are wired to not fall apart. You will never think your way out of a hijacked nervous system. Trying to be rational while your heart is hammering, lungs are shallow, and attention is locked on threats is like trying to write clean code on a computer full of malware. The system itself is corrupted. That is why the first step into predator mode is physical. You start at the level that usually starts without your permission, and you take it back. There is a simple but powerful combination that begins this shift. Call it the power switch. It has 3 parts: breath, posture, and gaze. First, breathing. Slow, diaphragmatic breathing, where the stomach moves more than the chest, sends a direct signal to the vagus nerve. Long, slow exhalations in particular tell the system you are not about to die. When done correctly, this does not make you sleepy. It makes you steady. Second, posture. When you straighten your spine, open your chest slightly, and let the shoulders relax down instead of hunching forward, you are changing the mechanical signals that your body sends to your brain. Collapsed posture feeds helplessness. Upright posture, without stiffness, feeds control. Third, gaze. Instead of darting eyes and scanning for social approval, you fix your gaze in a calm, steady way. Not aggressive staring, just stable, direct, and slow to move. This pulls attention outward and kills some of the internal storm. When you combine these 3 deliberately in a stressful moment, the effect is simple but unsettling. Your mind does not go blank. It gets quiet. You notice more details in the room. You feel less need to explain yourself instantly. You gain a split-second delay between what you feel and what you do. That tiny delay is the birth of predator mode. Your emotions are still there, but they are now input, not orders. You are not fully there yet, but you have your hand on the switch that most people never touch. Compare this to normal human mode in social situations. In human mode, you chase safety in the eyes of others. You watch their face for signs of approval or anger. You adjust your words mid-sentence to avoid rejection. If someone uses a sharp tone, your chest tightens and you feel either shame or defensiveness. If someone gives you praise, your guard drops and you start trying to keep them pleased. You are easy to steer because your emotional reactions are visible and predictable. You are playing the game everyone else is playing, begging for comfort, avoiding discomfort. In predator mode, your nervous system behaves differently. You are still in the same room with the same people, but your attention is not on their approval. It is on their data, microsignals, eye movements, breathing speed, small changes in voice, tension in the jaw, shifts in posture, rehearsed phrases that sound too polished. In this state, tone does not control you. Insults fall into the same category as praise, information about the person who sent them. You track what they do, not just what they say. Your ego is not leading, your sensors are. Most social manipulation depends on triggering your nervous system. Fear, guilt, shame, and excitement are the main tools. Advertisers spike your desire and insecurity. Politicians spike your fear and rage. Abusive partners spike your guilt and hope. They grab your attention, twist your bodily state, and once you are drowning in feeling, they guide your thoughts where they want them. This works because most people have no way to separate what they feel in their body from what they believe in their mind. If the heart races, they believe the story that comes attached to it. Once you learn to flip the power switch under pressure, their tools start to fail. You feel the spike, but instead of reacting, You change your breathing, shift your posture, adjust your gaze, and let your awareness spread out. You do not argue with the emotion. You do not try to be positive. You simply steady the system that the manipulator tries to ride. There is a point where this becomes automatic. The more you do it, the more your body learns that a stress spike is not a command to obey, but a signal to enter predator mode. People with strong autonomic regulation, trained vagal tone, and higher heart rate variability seem almost unfair in high-stress environments. They do not talk faster when others raise their voice. They do not blurt secrets to fill silences. They do not rush decisions just to make anxiety go away. Their advantage is not higher IQ. It is a different setting of the same hardware. Under stress, most people lose access to their higher thinking. Under stress, these individuals gain more access to it. This is what makes the idea dangerous. If you remove emotional noise from perception while leaving empathy limp but optional, you get something that can be either highly protective or highly predatory in the worst sense. Cold awareness plus pattern recognition plus emotional control is how both the best negotiators and the most effective abusers operate. The nervous system does not care about your morals. It only cares about what it is trained to do. That is why this has never been given to the public as power training. It is sold as stress management, wellness, or mindfulness. Safe words, safe frame. From this point forward, you need to see yourself not as a fixed personality, but as a switchboard of states. Human mode is useful. You need connection, softness, play, trust, and emotional expression. Predator mode is also useful, but in a very different arena: conflict, negotiation, threat, manipulation, crucial decisions, and situations where other people are trying to steer your reactions. The mistake is being stuck in human mode during predator conditions. That is how people get exploited, humiliated, and outplayed, even when they are smart. Everything that comes next builds on a simple truth. Genius, intuition, and calm are not gifts from the sky. They are what a trained nervous system feels like from the inside. The first step is owning the switch: breath, posture, gaze. Shift from internal storm to external awareness. Stop living as a scared body dragging a tired mind, and start treating your own system as a weapon that can be tuned. Once you accept that, you are no longer just a person getting pushed around by every spike of feeling. You are starting to become something else, something most people will not understand until they run into it and wonder why you are not reacting like everyone else. Chapter 2: Silence Training, Widening Perception and Killing Emotional Noise. You have already seen that your nervous system can flip between weak and controlled, between prey and predator. But even with the power switch, there is still a major problem. Your own mind will fight you. The loudest enemy is not always an outside person. It is the constant noise inside your head. That noise burns your attention, floods your emotions, and keeps you from seeing what is right in front of you. If you want predator mode to be real, not just a cool idea, you must learn something most people never touch. You must learn weaponized silence. Most people think of silence as something soft or spiritual. Meditation, calm, peace, nature, yoga. That is one use. Here, silence is something else. It is an attack on everything that makes you slow and blind. Silence in this sense means muting the constant internal commentary long enough for your senses to dominate your awareness. It means cutting down the endless self-talk, judgments, fantasies, and social stories so that more of your brain is free to process raw data. Science already knows this is possible. Research on certain forms of meditation, often called focused attention and open monitoring, shows that people who train these skills can notice more and react less. Their brains become better at holding focus, spotting patterns, and not getting dragged by every emotion that shows up. There are two main ways attention can work. Focused attention is like a tight beam. You lock your mind on a single target, such as your breath, a sound, a task, or a person. Everything else fades. This is useful when you need to track a detail, listen deeply, or carry out a complex action without getting distracted. Open monitoring is the opposite style. Your awareness goes wide. You notice sounds, sights, body sensations, emotions, and thoughts as they appear and pass. You do not cling to any of them. You just register them. Elite performers move back and forth between these two modes. A fighter may use open monitoring to sense the whole ring, then snap into focused attention to read a punch and counter. A trader may monitor the whole market, then zero in on a key signal. A predator in social life does the same. Wide awareness for threats and chances, sharp focus when it is time to act. The problem is that most people never reach clean focused attention or clean open monitoring because their inner noise eats both. Their attention is not a tool. It is a victim. Think about how much time you spend trapped in your own head. You replay arguments. You imagine what others think about you. You rehearse fake conversations. You compare yourself to people online. You keep a constant stream of comments about your own actions. That was stupid. That was smart. They must hate me. They must like me. I sound boring. I look weird. This running commentary fills your working memory, the mental space you need for thinking clearly. The more noise inside, the less capacity you have left to see what is actually going on outside. Research on rumination in anxiety and depression shows that this internal loop is not harmless. It not only makes people feel worse, but also makes their thinking slow and biased. Under heavy cognitive load, reaction time gets worse, memory becomes sloppy, and attention jumps to whatever feels like a threat, whether it is real or not. This is how you miss important signals in conversations, overlook key details in a deal, or walk right into traps that you could have seen coming. Your mind was not on the world. It was on your own drama. Silence training is the process of killing that drama on purpose, not forever, but on command. It is not about becoming emotionless or empty. It is about building a skill, the ability to let thoughts and emotions appear without treating them as orders and without having to react to them right away. This frees your attention for something far more useful: raw perception. The first part of silence training is learning to observe without talking, inside or outside. Take a crowded place, a train station, a mall, a busy street, a cafeteria. You sit or stand calmly. Use the power switch to settle your body, and then you stay completely silent. You do not comment in your head. You do not label people as losers, winners, ugly, hot, annoying, or cool. You do not invent stories about them. Instead, you simply notice clothing, walking speed, who avoids eye contact, who seeks it, who leads in a group, who follows, where tension sits in their bodies. Every time your mind starts to judge or fantasize, you bring it back to simple observation, what is actually visible and audible, nothing more. At first, this is harder than it sounds, because your brain is addicted to noise. It will try to fill the gap with anything: song lyrics, daydreams, anger about something from last week, porn scenes, random jokes. Do not fight these with anger. Fighting them directly makes more noise. Instead, keep returning to the five senses. What can you see in detail? What can you hear when you really listen? What can you feel in the contact points of your body, with the chair, the floor, the clothes on your skin? You are training your nervous system to favor external data over internal static. The second part is learning to label emotions without acting them out. There is a line of research called affect labeling that shows something simple but powerful. When a person silently names what they feel, like anger or fear or shame, the emotional centers in the brain light up less over time, and the frontal areas that handle control light up more. In basic terms, putting a short, accurate word on your emotion helps calm it down without suppressing it. The trick here is to do this without changing your face or voice. You feel a flash of jealousy in a social setting. Instead of reacting or pretending it is not there, you say inside, in a flat way, jealousy. You feel a spike of fear before speaking. You say fear, not as a judgment, not as a story, just as a label. Doing this while keeping your outer behavior calm is a dark skill. It separates inner state from outer signal. Most people broadcast their emotions without knowing it. Their face, hands, shoulders, voice, and timing betray them. When you train yourself to notice and label emotions while staying physically still and neutral, you gain two things. First, Your own feelings stop controlling your behavior. Second, other people stop being able to read you easily, while you become better at reading them. The third part of silence training is interoceptive scanning. Interoception is your sense of what is happening inside your body. Heartbeat, tightness in the chest, knots in the stomach, heat in the face, tension in the jaw, buzzing in the limbs. Most people mix these raw sensations with stories. My chest is tight, so something bad is going to happen. My stomach feels strange, so this person must be dangerous. With scanning, you do the opposite. You take time, maybe a few minutes, to mentally move through your body from head to toe. You notice each area in turn: forehead, jaw, throat, chest, stomach, back, hands, hips, legs, feet. In each area, you look for signals: tight, loose, warm, cold, heavy, light, numb, buzzing. During this scan, you do not add any meaning. You do not say "I am anxious" or "I am sad" or "I am in love." You only report physical facts: tight, warm, pressure, empty, tingling. By doing this regularly, you train a split between sensation and story. This is vital for predator mode. The body still reacts, hormones still move, but you are no longer forced to believe the first thought that attaches to the feeling. You see fear as a set of sensations, not as proof of danger. You see attraction as a mix of warmth, tension, and impulse, not as proof that the other person is special or honest. Put these drills together: silent observation in public, emotion labeling without expression, and interoceptive scanning. What changes over time is dramatic. Social power stops being about talking the loudest or having the best lines. It becomes about who can stay quiet inside. When you sit in a group and your inner world is calm, you notice everything others miss. The friend who keeps glancing at the door when a certain person speaks. The way someone laughs half a second too late. The slight pause before a lie. The sudden change in breathing when money is mentioned. You start to see that most people do not control themselves. They are controlled by tiny emotional jolts that show up in their body, then spill out in their behavior. Silence training also changes the way others relate to you. When you stop reacting to tone, provocation, or praise, people reveal themselves faster. A person who is used to button pushing will keep trying harder when you stay calm. They will cycle through guilt, anger, flattery, and threats. Watching this, without taking it personally, gives you a live map of their tactics. A person who is used to winning others with charm may become uneasy when you do not melt under their attention. They may try to test you with subtle disrespect or sudden withdrawal. Again, you stay silent inside and outside, just long enough to see the pattern. Then you choose your response based on what is useful, not what feels urgent. There is another effect. When your baseline noise drops, your sense of time changes. In tense situations, most people feel rushed. Their minds race. They talk to fill gaps. They agree too fast just to stop feeling nervous. You will notice that when you hold silence, the moment stretches. A pause that feels like an eternity to others will feel normal to you. They will rush to fill it. They will reveal extra information, backtrack on lies, or over-explain their motives, all because they cannot tolerate the quiet that you are using as a tool. At this stage, some people worry that killing emotional noise means killing emotion itself. It does not. In fact, you will likely feel more, not less, but you will feel in a cleaner way. Without constant inner comments, an emotion can rise, peak, and fall without dragging you into obsessive thoughts. Anger feels like heat and strength in the body. Fear feels like electricity. Sadness feels like weight and softness. You let these come and go while your behavior stays chosen, not automatic. This is the difference between a wild animal crashing through a room and a trained animal that moves exactly when the handler gives a signal. Underneath all this is a simple fact shown in research. The brain has limited resources at any given moment. The energy you spend on useless inner talking is energy you do not have for perception, memory, and decision-making. By training silence, you are not becoming dull. You are reallocating power. You are moving mental effort away from self-drama and toward high-quality sensing and thinking. This is why experienced meditators in many studies show better performance in attention tasks, lower emotional reactivity, and a finer ability to notice brief signals that non-meditators miss. The difference here is that you are not training for peace or kindness. You are training for clarity and control. Predator mode needs this silence as its base. A nervous system that is physically steady but mentally loud is still weak. It will overinterpret harmless signals, miss dangerous ones, and waste time chasing social shadows. A nervous system that is physically steady and mentally quiet has room to build something else: pattern recognition, strategy, and foresight. That is what the next level is about. But none of that will work if you are still drowning in your own inner noise. So the rules of silence training are direct. In public, take time to be a sensor, not a performer. Watch more than you speak. Inside, label emotions with short, flat names instead of long stories. In private, scan your body until sensations and stories are clearly different in your mind. Do all of this without trying to look spiritual or special. You are not escaping the world. You are stripping away the cheap chaos in your mind so that you can see the world with clean eyes. As this becomes normal, you will notice something strange. People around you feel loud, even when they are quiet. You can sense their mental noise in their fidgeting, their rushed speech, their nervous jokes, their need to fill every silent second. In contrast, your stillness will feel heavy to them. Some will find it calming. Others will feel exposed and uneasy because they cannot read you and cannot pull you into their scripts. This is the first real taste of nervous system power. You are no longer just another reactive human in the crowd. You are starting to move like a sensor array in a room full of people who cannot stop broadcasting their own weakness. Silence is not a reward. It is not a treat for after you are done with life. It is training. It is the field where your future advantages are built. Once you can drop into this quiet awareness at will, the rest of predator mode stops being theory. Your attention is no longer chained inside your head. It is free to go outward, gather data, and feed the next step, turning all that clean perception into patterns and predictions long before anyone else knows what is happening. Chapter 3: Chaos Training: Keeping Predator Clarity Under Pressure. Silence training gives you a calm center. The power switch gives you control of your body. But there is a hard truth you cannot skip. All of that can fall apart the moment real chaos hits. It is easy to feel sharp and composed alone in your room, or while casually watching people in a cafe. It is very different when someone is in your face, a crowd is watching, money is on the line, or your reputation feels at risk. Under real pressure, most people become children again. They say things they regret, reveal things they should have kept hidden, accept deals they should have turned down, or attack when they should have stayed still. Their nervous system takes over, and everything they know fades into the background. The first thing to understand is why this happens. When stress rises fast, your brain shifts how it works. The prefrontal cortex, the part that handles planning, analysis, impulse control, and long-term strategy, loses power when arousal is too high. At the same time, older parts of the brain that care about survival, threat detection, and quick reactions become dominant. This makes sense if you are avoiding a car crash or a physical attack. It is bad when you are in an argument, a negotiation, a high-stakes meeting, or a social trap set by someone who stays calmer than you. Your attention switches from goals to threats. You stop asking what wins in the long run, and start asking, how do I stop feeling this right now? That is when you give away information, submit, rage, or freeze. Attentional control theory explains this in simple terms. Anxiety makes your attention more sensitive to threat cues and less focused on the task. You scan for what could go wrong and miss what would help you. Your mind jumps to signs of disapproval, danger, or shame. Under that pull, your working memory fills up with fear and worry. There is less space left to calculate. That is why someone can be sharp in private, but fall apart when eyes are on them. Their system cannot hold aim while under fire. There is a method for fixing this, and high-level performers already rely on it. It is called stress inoculation. Donald Meichenbaum and others in psychology showed that when people are gradually exposed to stress in a controlled way while practicing coping skills, they become far harder to shake in real crises. The idea is similar to a vaccine. A small managed dose of stress trains your body and mind to respond better next time. In elite forces, tactical units, top athletes, and certain medical teams, this is standard. They practice under noise, time pressure, confusion, and simulated threat so that when real danger comes, it feels like something their system has already seen. You are going to use the same idea, but in a way aimed at nervous system power and social control. Chaos training means putting yourself into controlled stress on purpose while keeping the predator tools online. The goal is not to feel nothing. The goal is to feel the rush and still be able to breathe slow, keep your voice steady, hold your posture, and think in terms of strategy instead of comfort. Start with argument simulation. Most people lose control fastest during conflict. Tone shifts, volume rises, and before they know it, they are defending, attacking, or begging. To train against this, you need to rehearse staying cold in the middle of heat. With a trusted partner, or even alone using imagined scenarios, set up short rounds where you are attacked verbally, accused of being selfish, lazy, fake, weak, controlling, whatever hits your ego. While this happens, your job is clear. First, keep breathing low and slow, especially the exhale. Second, keep your voice slightly slower and quieter than your normal upset voice. Third, keep your body still and open. No shrinking, no leaning forward to attack, no nervous fidgeting. You are not trying to win the argument in these drills. You are trying to keep control of your nervous system while your buttons are being pushed. If you do this right, you will feel the normal heat in the chest, tightness in the throat, or urge to interrupt. Your face might want to react. You notice all of that, label it inside, and keep your behavior chosen. Even reading upsetting comments or messages out loud to yourself while practicing this posture, breath, and tone can be useful. Over time, your system learns that anger and shame are signals, not commands. Next, use timed decision tasks under distraction. In real life, pressure often shows up as a time limit plus noise. You have to decide quickly, while people talk, music plays, or your phone buzzes. To train this, set up simple but demanding tasks for yourself under time pressure. It could be mental math, a memory task, or solving logic problems. While you do them, play loud sound in the background, music with lyrics, crowd noise, or even recordings of arguments. Set a timer and force yourself to finish within that limit. The key is not the task itself. The key is what you do with your body and mind while the clock runs and the noise hits. You apply the power switch at the start. Strong, upright posture, steady gaze on the task, slow, controlled breathing. As the pressure rises, you do not rush into frantic speed. You keep your movements deliberate. You notice the impulse to panic or give up, and you do not obey it. You are teaching your brain that time pressure and distraction are not crises. They are conditions under which you can still think. Physical stress is another powerful tool. Cold exposure, intense short workouts, sprints, or holding a difficult position all light up your threat systems. Heart rate rises, breathing speeds up, muscles scream for relief. This is where you can build deep control. For example, during a cold shower, or while holding a plank or wall sit, choose a single mental objective. It could be repeating a phrase like, "This is data," or holding a clear image in your mind, or counting your breath smoothly. As the body starts to complain, you feel the urge to quit, panic, or mentally collapse. Instead, you keep the objective steady. You bring your attention back to the breath or phrase each time it tries to flee. There is a mental layer that locks all of this in: reappraisal. This is the way you frame the stress to yourself. The same racing heart can mean "I am in danger," or "my body is giving me fuel." The same tight chest can mean "I am about to fail," or "my system is waking up for performance." Studies on cognitive reappraisal show that how you interpret your own stress changes how intense it feels and how your body responds. If you treat every spike as a sign that things are going wrong, you will panic earlier and more often. If you treat stress as training or data, your system stays more stable. During chaos drills, make this frame clear in your mind. When the argument simulation starts, you tell yourself, "Good, this is training the switch." When the time pressure and noise hit, you tell yourself, "This is where people melt. This is where I practice not melting." When the cold or pain rises, you tell yourself, "These signals are strong, but they are not in charge." You are not lying to yourself. You are choosing the meaning that keeps your prefrontal cortex online. Over time, this becomes automatic. Real-life stress triggers the same internal script, and you stay functional while others break. In social and power dynamics, this matters more than any clever line or technique. Under conflict, interrogation, negotiation, or manipulation, the calmest nervous system wins. The person who stays steady while others spike can direct the interaction with tiny moves. Think of common high-pressure situations. A boss calls you in and starts hinting about problems. A partner pushes emotional buttons to make you confess or submit. A group turns on you in public and waits for a flustered reaction. In these moments, your inner chaos level decides everything. If your system spikes, your eyes dart, your breathing turns shallow, and your voice jumps, you talk too much, give too many details, or rush to justify yourself. The other side can read your fear and push harder. They might back you into a corner, get you to agree to bad terms, or trap you in statements you cannot take back. They feel the power shift and enjoy it. Your knowledge, logic, and intentions do not matter. You lost the battle before you spoke. If you have trained chaos the way described, the same scene looks very different. The moment tension rises, your first action is not words but state. Your body takes the posture, your breathing slows, your gaze becomes stable. Inside, you label your emotion and reframe the stress as data. You notice the pull to defend or over-explain, and you give it a small delay. In that delay, options appear. You can ask a short question instead of babbling. You can say, "I will think about that," instead of saying yes or no too fast. You can simply hold eye contact in silence, forcing the other person to keep talking and reveal more. Interrogation and aggressive questioning are strong tests of this skill. Many people, when pressed rapidly, start answering questions they were never directly asked. They fill in gaps because the silence feels like a threat. A trained nervous system feels the same pressure, but treats it as a game. You let the other person spend their energy. You answer only what serves you. If they raise their voice, yours stays level. If they speed up, you keep your pace. That difference is not about courage in the usual sense. It is about a body and mind that have rehearsed staying online under fire. There is also a subtle benefit in everyday conflict. When someone tries to bait you into a fight, they are often trying to pull you into their frame. They want you to react, because your reaction justifies their next move. If you shout, they get to play victim. If you cry, they get to feel superior. If you beg, they get to feel in control. Chaos training lets you starve them of that payoff. You can choose a small, controlled response instead of a big, emotional one. You might simply raise an eyebrow, shrug, or say "noted," and then shift the topic. You might ask, "What result are you hoping for by saying that?" in a calm tone. These responses cut their script. They are only possible if your system is steady enough to not jump to the usual defensive patterns. It is important to admit the cost and risk here. Training yourself to stay calm under chaos can slide into emotional numbness or constant hypervigilance if you are not careful. The goal is not to be on guard all the time. The goal is to have a mode you can enter on purpose when the situation calls for it. After a high-stress event, you should also practice coming down. Use slow breathing, safe connection with trusted people, or simple restful activities to tell your system it can relax. This keeps you from becoming a person who is always braced for attack. A true predator does not waste energy pacing in an empty field. It rests deeply when there is no hunt. As you grow stronger in chaos, people will react to you differently. Some will test you more because they feel something in you that does not break easily. They will push harder in arguments, try sharper insults, or create more public pressure just to see what happens. That is still useful to you. Each test is more data and more training. Others will quietly adjust to you. They will raise their voice less, avoid open fights, or speak more carefully, because at a gut level, they sense that emotional outbursts do not move you. Over time, your presence alone can lower chaos in a room, or make those who live on drama avoid direct clashes with you. The real shift is internal. You stop being afraid of pressure. You stop needing everything to be comfortable before you can think clearly. Stressful events still feel uncomfortable, but they no longer feel like the end of the world. That gap between this is intense and this is impossible is where your power lives. Your decisions under stress start to match your decisions in calm thought. That is extremely rare. Chaos training is not about becoming a stone. It is about becoming a person whose nervous system stays usable when others go offline. Every drill that makes your heart race and your stomach knot while you hold on to breath, posture, gaze, and framing is building this. You are teaching your system a new rule. The more the world shakes, the more you see and choose. Once that rule is deep enough, conflict stops being something you fear and starts being another environment where you have an edge. With silence training, you cleared internal noise. With chaos training, you keep that clarity when the world attacks it. The next step is to use this steady, sharp awareness for something more advanced, reading and predicting, because calm without foresight is still limited. To become truly dangerous in the way you move through life, you need to turn your controlled attention into a growing library of patterns, so that your nervous system starts to see the future before it arrives. Chapter 4. Pattern Mastery. Turning awareness into foresight. A quiet, controlled nervous system is already rare. But on its own, it only makes you hard to shake. What makes someone feel almost unreal in conflict, business or social life, is something else. They seem to know what will happen next. They dodge traps before they close. They answer attacks before the other person fully commits to them. They step into chances that others do not even see. From the outside, this looks like magic, luck, or special talent. In reality, it is much simpler. It is trained pattern recognition running inside a calm system. The human brain is built as a prediction machine. It does not just sit and wait for events. It constantly guesses what will happen in the next second, the next minute, the next hour. It uses past experience to build models of the world, then checks those models against incoming data. When the guess is right, you feel smooth and confident. When the guess is wrong, you feel surprised, confused, or threatened. This is what lies behind what people call intuition. When someone just knows that a plan will fail, or that a person cannot be trusted, or that a move in a game is wrong. What is happening is that thousands of tiny patterns from their past experience are firing below awareness. Their brain is matching the current situation to an internal library of similar situations. Research on expert performance makes this clear. Chess masters do not look at each piece on the board as if it were new. They see familiar shapes, known positions, standard attacks and defenses. Firefighters with long experience can walk into a building and feel that something is off, because subtle details in heat, smoke, and sound match past fires that went bad. Skilled traders can sense shifts in markets by recognizing combinations of price moves, volume, and news they have already lived through. None of these people are guessing randomly. Their nervous systems have been fed so much data, with so much attention, that pattern recognition becomes automatic and very fast. Your trained predator state is the perfect soil for this. Silence training gives you clean perception. Chaos training keeps that perception online under stress. Now you will use that steady, wide awareness to start building your own pattern library in the areas that matter most: human behavior, emotional sequences, and social games. The clearer your patterns, the less you will be surprised. The less you are surprised, the more you can shape what happens. Start with micro behaviors. Human bodies leak information constantly. Tiny shifts in eyes, mouth, jaw, hands, shoulders, and breathing reveal changes in state before words do. Most people see only the obvious: a big smile, an angry shout, obvious fear. A predator watches the smaller signals that come first: quick eye shifts to exits or to other people in the room, jaw clenching and unclenching, lips pressing into a thin line, breathing that moves from belly to shallow chest, fingers touching the neck, face, or lips, shoulders rising slightly, and staying tense, speech speed increasing or slowing, with more filler words or sudden pauses. These are not magic signs on their own. Each person has their own baseline. Some speak fast by default. Some move their hands a lot. Some avoid eye contact even when calm. Pattern mastery means watching how these signals change from that baseline when context shifts. For example, someone may speak in a relaxed, flowing way, then suddenly start adding many and sounds when you ask about money. Their jaw might stay calm in most topics, but tighten when a certain name is mentioned. Their eyes may meet yours easily until you touch on a subject they want to hide, at which point they start looking away at specific points, like down and to the side. Through your silent observation drills, you are already better at noticing such changes. Now you must start grouping them. When a person shows this kind of micro-expression plus this shift in voice, plus this body movement, what usually happens next? Do they change the subject, become aggressive, try to charm you, or shut down? Over time, you stop seeing each signal alone and start seeing clusters. Those clusters are patterns. Next, move to emotional sequences. People rarely jump from calm to explosion in a single step. Most follow certain chains. A classic one is defensiveness, then justification, then attack. You point out a problem. They first deny it or make excuses. When that fails, they justify themselves at length. When that does not end the discomfort, they switch to attacking you. Another common sequence is insecurity, then flattery, then resentment. A person feels less than you in some area. They praise you intensely, try to stay close, then slowly grow bitter when you do not fill their needs. Start watching how emotions unfold over time, not just in one conversation, but across days and weeks. Someone may seem friendly, then slowly show more testing comments, then shift into controlling behavior. Others may act cold at first, then warm quickly, then demand high levels of attention. Your job is to notice these repeating paths. When you see the first step of a known sequence, you can often predict the later steps. Social psychology gives names to some of these patterns. The consistency principle, for example, says people like to appear consistent with their past statements and actions. A manipulator may first get you to agree with some mild claim, then later use that agreement to push you into a stronger position, saying things like, "But you said earlier that you cared about honesty," or "You agreed that we are a team, so you should do this now." Reciprocity is another pattern. If they give you something, even something small, they expect you to feel a pull to give back, even if you did not ask for it. Triangulation is a common game in toxic relationships. Someone brings a third person into the dynamic to create jealousy, competition, or confusion. Love bombing followed by devaluation is another. Intense praise and attention, then sudden coldness and criticism once you are attached. You do not need to memorize academic labels, but understanding that these games have been studied helps you treat them as predictable scripts, not mysterious chaos. Narcissistic patterns, for example, often include idealizing you, then finding small faults, then punishing you for those faults while claiming victim status. Guilt tripping plays on your sense of being a good person, framing their desires as your duty. Each of these scripts has typical phrases, body signals, and timing. The more you watch people with predator awareness, the more you see these scripts start, long before the final move. To turn all this into real skill, you need a habit, pattern logging. After important interactions or intense situations, take time to reconstruct what happened, not how you felt about it, not your story, but the sequence. What did the other person say first? How did their body look? What did you answer? What shifted in tone, posture, or timing next? What happened right before things went well or badly? Write this out in simple steps, like a timeline. At first, this will feel slow and boring. Over time, you will start to notice that certain chains repeat with different people. For example, you might log that when a certain type of person gives you huge praise early on, they later make big demands and explode if you say no. Or that when someone dodges clear answers to simple questions twice in a row, they usually end up lying later. Or that when you feel a specific bodily sensation, Like a lightness in your chest plus a small fear of saying no, the other person often turns out to be manipulative. Through this process, you also start to see your own patterns. The times you cave, the times you attack, the times you stay silent when you should speak. As your pattern logs grow, your brain is being trained. You are feeding it real data, not just vibes. Without needing to think it all through each time, your nervous system starts to recognize early signs. Someone uses a certain phrase, plus a certain laugh, plus a certain touch on your arm, and a quiet internal flag goes up. This matches a known script. Your body may even feel it before your conscious mind does, as a slight tension or a sense of "I have seen this before." That is intuition built on work, not guesswork. Foresight becomes power when you act on it. If you know that a person who starts with extreme flattery tends to move toward control, you can limit what you share from the start. You can test them with small no's and see how they handle boundaries. If you know that a certain argument sequence ends in escalation, you can interrupt it early by not giving the usual defensive or apologetic response. You might respond with a calm question instead, or end the conversation before it reaches the attack stage. If you know that someone tends to triangulate, you can refuse to talk about absent third parties or compare yourself to them, starving the game. You can also use patterns to bait predictable reactions, though this is a moral line you must choose for yourself. For example, if you know someone cannot stand being ignored, a short period of calm indifference may push them into revealing their hand, making a big move, or exposing a hidden motive. If you know that a person who prides themselves on fairness will feel forced to act when their own words are quoted back to them, you can plan your earlier conversations to set up those quotes. None of this is random manipulation. It is using your knowledge of their likely moves the way a chess player uses openings. They are free to act differently, but most people will not, because they are run by their patterns. Ethical use of this power means first pointing it inward. Your own nervous system has patterns too. For example, you may notice that you tend to overshare when someone shows a certain kind of sympathetic face, then regret it later, or that you tend to accept unfair terms when you feel rushed in front of a group. Once you see these chains clearly, you can cut them. The next time the sequence begins, you feel the first step and consciously choose a different move. You might stay silent instead of filling the space. You might ask for time instead of deciding on the spot. As you do this, you are rewriting your own scripts. There is also a deeper level. With enough pattern exposure, you start seeing not just personal habits, but human themes. For example, how people hate admitting they are wrong and will twist logic just to protect their image. How greed makes people accept risks they would never accept for others. How loneliness makes people ignore red flags. How fear of shame makes groups bury the truth. Social psychology has shown many of these tendencies. Confirmation bias, where people seek proof for what they already believe. Fundamental attribution error, where they blame others' actions on character, but excuse their own as circumstances. The pull of group loyalty that makes individuals go along with things they know are wrong. Your calm, wide attention lets you see these dynamics not as abstract ideas, but as living processes around you. A group starts to rally around a leader. You see who gives up their own judgment first. A person starts to sink into shame. You see how much more open they become to control. A crowd becomes angry. You see how individuals who would never act alone now justify cruelty. With this, you can stand slightly outside the group storms that control most of society. You can choose when to join, when to step back, and when to use the group flow to move your own agenda. All of this rests on one thing. You must keep logging, studying, and learning from reality. Do not trust single events. Look for repetition. Do not get stuck on surface details like outfits, slang, or trends. Look under those at posture, timing, tone patterns, emotional sequences, and results. Over years, your nervous system will collect more and more of these chains. The reward is that future situations feel familiar, even when they are new on the surface. You sense, calmly and early, where things are heading. Foresight is dangerous because it removes excuses. When you can see how someone will likely behave, you cannot pretend you are surprised when they finally do it. When you notice the first signs of a toxic pattern and stay, you know you chose it. When you walk into a negotiation and ignore the signals that your side is weaker, you know the loss was not random. This level of awareness can protect you, or it can turn you into the person who always stays 3 moves ahead of those who are still ruled by feelings and habits. This is the ethical line you must face. With pattern mastery, you could use your power mainly to avoid traps, choose better allies, and guide situations toward fair outcomes. Or you could use it to drain people, play on their weaknesses, and win every exchange at their cost. Your nervous system will not decide that for you. It will simply give you the ability. How you use it becomes part of who you are. By now, you should see the shape of the system you are building. Predator mode is not just coldness. It is a state where your body is steady, your mind is quiet, and your attention is sharp enough to catch human patterns as they form. From that state, you create an internal library of cause and effect, and you keep updating it with each new interaction. Over time, you stop being surprised by what people do. You start feeling that most behavior is highly predictable once you know what to look for. The final step is installing this as a stable way of living, without becoming a dead machine. That means choosing when to be predator and when to be human. It means holding power without burning out your nervous system or killing your ability to care. It means carrying pattern mastery and inhuman calm into life while still being able to laugh, rest, and connect. That is the price and the final gain of becoming no longer just a normal human. Chapter 5. Becoming no longer human. Installing predator mode as your default. By now you have learned how to flip your nervous system into predator mode, how to quiet your inner noise, how to stay clear in chaos, and how to read and predict human patterns. If you keep training these skills, something deep will start to change. You will not just act differently in a few moments, you will start to feel like a different kind of person altogether. This is where the idea of becoming no longer human stops being a slogan and starts becoming your daily reality. And this is also where the danger is highest. There is a cost to living with this kind of control. The human nervous system did not evolve to stay in a cold, strategic state all the time. When you spend too much time pushing down emotional noise and analyzing others, you can slide into emotional blunting. Things that used to move you no longer reach you. Moments that should feel warm or joyful feel flat. Some people in this state start to feel like they are watching their life from a distance. That is close to dissociation, where you are present physically, but feel cut off from your own experience. There is a reason certain dark traits seem linked to extreme control. People high in what is called the dark triad traits, like psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellianism, often show low empathy, high strategic thinking, and low guilt. They treat others as tools or pieces in a game. When you train yourself to detach emotion from perception and to see patterns before other people do, you are walking along a similar edge. You are not doomed to become like that, but you are using some of the same systems they use. You need to be honest about this risk, or you will wake up one day realizing you have turned into the kind of person you once feared. To avoid that, you must treat predator mode as a tool, not as your whole identity. The key is integration. You need clear rules about when you will enter predator mode and when you will return to human mode. Predator mode fits moments where stakes are high and emotions around you are weaponized. Conflict, negotiation, business and money decisions, dealing with manipulators, setting or defending strong boundaries, handling public pressure, and any situation where you can feel someone trying to steer your reactions. Human mode, on the other hand, is for intimacy, friendship, play, creativity, learning, and recovery. In these areas, you need softness and openness. You need to let your guard down enough to actually feel connection, joy, sorrow, and curiosity. If you bring full predator mode into a close relationship, you might win every argument, but you will slowly kill trust. If you bring full predator mode into your own creative life, you might remove all risk of failure, but you will also suffocate the very impulses that lead to new ideas. Your nervous system also needs cycles. Research on allostatic load shows that staying in high alert for long periods damages the body. Chronic stress, even if you feel you are handling it, wears down your heart, your immune system, your hormones, and your mood. You can reach a point where nothing feels safe enough to truly relax, so you live stuck in a half-predator, half-exhausted state. That is not strength, that is slow collapse. Integration means learning to come down fully when the hunt is over. To make all this real, you need a simple structure. Start with daily micro-drills. These are small, repeatable actions that keep your nervous system sharp without frying it. For silence, you might spend 5 minutes a day in a public space as a pure observer, or sit in your room with no device and simply watch your thoughts and body without engaging. For chaos, you might add a brief cold shower at the end of your wash. Hold a difficult physical position for a set time while keeping your breathing slow, or do a short-timed task under some noise. For pattern mastery, you might log one interaction or event per day, even in a few lines, focusing on the sequence of behavior rather than your story about it. These micro-drills keep the skills alive in your nervous system. They also send a message to your identity. This is who I am now. A person who trains state and perception. To deepen that, you can build switch-on rituals. A ritual is a short, specific routine that tells your brain and body that a certain mode starts now. For predator mode, this could be as simple as 3 slow breaths with long exhales, straightening your posture, lifting your chest slightly, letting your shoulders drop back and down, and choosing a steadier gaze. You might add a small inner phrase like cold now or data only that you repeat just before going into a hard conversation or entering a room where games are played. Research on habit formation and implementation intentions shows that when you link a clear plan to a situation, it becomes much easier to follow through. For example, if I feel my heart race in a meeting, then I will straighten my posture, slow my exhale, and look at the speaker's eyes and hands instead of at the floor. Or, if someone attacks me in public, then I will pause for one breath before speaking and ask a question instead of defending. These if-then plans turn your predator tools into automatic responses in chosen contexts. Over time, your nervous system starts to fire them without conscious effort. Equally important are switch-off rituals. After you leave a high-stress zone, you need to tell your system that the war is over for now. That might mean a short walk without your phone, letting your gaze go wide and relaxed. It might mean breathing with longer exhales and feeling the support of the chair or bed under you, or spending time with a person you trust while letting yourself be honest about your feelings. It might mean doing something completely non-strategic and physical, like playing a sport, listening to music, or spending time in nature. The point is to allow your nervous system to move back into safe social human mode before the next battle. As predator mode becomes more natural for you in the right situations, people will start to react. They will not know the science behind it. They will just feel that you are harder to move. Some will see you as mysterious, because you do not overshare, and you do not react on cue. Some will see you as intimidating, because you hold eye contact calmly and do not rush to fill silence. Some will see you as wise or deep, even when you are simply paying quiet attention. Others will feel fear or resentment, because their usual tricks no longer work on you. You can use these reactions strategically. If you want more leverage in a room, you can choose to show a bit less warmth and a bit more cold. Your stillness will make others adjust to you. If you want to build trust, you can let your guard drop slightly, soften your voice, and share a little more of your inner world while still staying aware. You do not need to be fully predator or fully human at all times. You can move along a range, choosing how much of your cold state and how much of your warm state to show, based on what serves you and the people you care about. What you must avoid is hiding behind predator mode as an excuse to never be vulnerable. If you do that, you will gain control but lose connection. You will become a person people obey or fear, but not someone they truly love or stand by. That may feel powerful for a while, but it is a narrow life. True advantage means you can walk into danger cold and sharp, and then sit with a friend or partner later and let yourself be open without feeling weak. Installing predator mode as part of your identity means you stop seeing intelligence as a fixed mental trait. Instead, you see it as a nervous system setting you can enter at will. When you are in human mode, you can let feelings flow, be playful, make mistakes, and not track every pattern. When you are in predator mode, you flip into cold sensing, controlled reaction, and strategic thinking. Most people never make this distinction. They are always half in both, and so they are never strong in either. The real forbidden insight is this: the people you think of as naturally gifted often just live closer to predator mode without knowing its name. The unshakable negotiator, the calm surgeon, the seasoned trader, the special operator, the manipulative abuser, the smooth cult leader, and the rare grounded leader who stays steady in crisis all share some form of this nervous system training. Some gained it through harsh life and long exposure. Some were shaped by elite systems. Very few were simply born that way. You are now in a position most of the world will never reach, not because you are better by birth, but because you have seen the machinery. You know that breath, posture, and gaze can flip your state. You know that silence can clear your perception. You know that chaos can be used as training instead of terror. You know that human behavior runs in patterns that can be logged, learned, and predicted. Once you see all this, you cannot honestly go back to claiming that emotions just happen, or that people just are the way they are. You know better. From here, the choice is simple and heavy. You can use this system as armor, mainly to protect yourself and those you care about from manipulation, chaos, and bad deals. You can use it as a way to move more cleanly through life, wasting less time on drama, choosing better partners, spotting danger early, and standing solid when others fall apart. Or you can use it as a weapon against people who do not know the game, bending them around your will while telling yourself stories about why they deserve it. The system does not care which path you pick. Your character decides that. If you choose the first path, you will feel strange at times, like a predator walking gently through a zoo of open cages, watching animals that still believe the bars are there. You will see people locked in loops, getting triggered again and again by the same words, faces, and situations, thinking it is fate. You will feel both distance and responsibility. You knew these loops too, and you stepped out. If you choose the second path, you will likely rise fast in certain areas: money, status, influence, control. You will see how easy it is to move crowds, partners, teams, or audiences once you understand their nervous systems better than they do. You may feel more alive than ever, fed by the thrill of being ahead. Just remember that every pattern you can see in others also exists in you. If you let cold strategy fully replace human connection, you will become the kind of person whose fall, when it comes, is also predictable. Either way, the basic fact stands. You do not become terrifyingly effective by thinking harder, reading more quotes, or being yourself. You become that way by flipping a biological switch most people never touch, and then conditioning it over and over until your nervous system can move between human and predator at will. Once that happens, you stop living as a person who is constantly at the mercy of feelings, crowds, and games. You start moving like a quiet hunter through a world of untrained nervous systems that still think their emotions are the truth, their first impulse is their choice, and their reactions are who they are. You now know that none of that is fixed. You can decide when to be warm, when to be cold, when to be open, and when to be unreadable. You can feel fear and not show it, feel anger and not obey it, feel attraction and still see the patterns behind it. You can walk into chaos and stay clear while everyone else drowns in their own noise. That is what becoming no longer human really means here. Not losing your humanity, but no longer being ruled by it.